This is Daniel Elkeles. Before he was appointed as the Chief Executive of the Epsom and St Helier NHS Trust, where he has been trying hard to downgrade our two major acute hospitals, he had a slightly different job. He was the Senior Responsible Officer for a programme called Shaping a Healthier Future. This programme downgraded several hospitals in West London and planned to do so to two more.
Centres, trauma goes to trauma centres, and what Bruce Keogh was trying to do is say all the different kinds of need in emergency care, this is the right medical and clinical response to that person.
I think without going too much into it, I think what we can see is it's currently with the
Tonight, a victory for protesters as the government scraps plans to shut two A&Es in West London.
It's been shambolic, frankly. These plans were just totally unrealistic.
We look at whether it has wider implications for the capital. A very warm welcome to BBC London News. First this evening, it was billed as the plan to transform the NHS for 2 million people in West London, the biggest local reorganisation the health service had attempted. That was 7 years ago. Today, the government scrapped it, saying it no longer thinks the idea of shutting A&Es at Charing Cross and Ealing will work, despite millions of pounds already being spent. Campaigners have welcomed the move, but say the plans were always unworkable and should have been scrapped years ago. Here's Carl Mercer.
It's been a common scene in West London over the last 7 years. Ambitious plans to reorganise hospitals and healthcare in this area have been bitterly opposed, especially those to close A&E units. In 2012, local health bosses launched a plan they said would deliver better care. It was called Shaping a Healthier Future. Controversially, it proposed shutting 4 A&Es at Ealing, Charing Cross, Central Middlesex and Hammersmith. 2 have shut. Today, Charing Cross and Ealing were reprieved.
Shaping a Healthier Future is no longer supported by the Department for Health and Social Care, by NHS Improvement or NHS England. But as for the changes in A&E in West London, for instance at Charing Cross Hospital that he mentions, that are part of Shaping a Healthier Future, these will not happen.
Shaping a Healthier Future was first launched 7 years ago, aimed at improving the health of 2 million people in West London. It's already spent £43 million on consultants alone.
It's been shambolic, frankly. Anybody with any ounce of common sense and any knowledge of the local area, the demands that were already on Ealing and Charing Cross A&Es would know that these plans were just totally unrealistic. Mad.
Today's announcement wasn't widely trailed. In fact, local MPs and even the hospitals involved in the plans weren't told it was happening.
Yes, totally out the blue, with no warning. The major hospital development programme for the whole of West London for the whole of the last decade was torn up on the hoof. We went in at the last minute and just to challenge on some of the very important implications of this.
Tell me how you found out this was happening.
I found out from the BBC.
We do know from today then that one plan for changing the NHS in West London is dead. We don't, though, have one to replace it.
Where do we go now? There's no plan to go forward. Part of the reason they've cancelled it is there's no money in the NHS to even do the demolitions of these sites. So, yes, of course we welcome the fact we're not losing world-class hospitals as the Tories planned, but where do we go now?
Other hospitals in West London, like St Mary's in Paddington and Hillingdon, are desperate for new investment. The area has the biggest maintenance backlog in the country, around £1 billion. That hasn't been addressed by today's announcement.
And Carl's here. Interestingly there, we didn't hear from the NHS.
Yeah, interesting is one way of saying it. It's been a fairly shambolic day, actually, and it's hard, really hard, to believe that on a day when they've scrapped their biggest reorganisation of local services anywhere in the country, that the NHS couldn't find anyone to speak to us. Now, I have a theory why that might be. I think it's because they weren't aware that it was going to happen today. This is an announcement made by the Health Secretary, the Department of Health have made the decision. The NHS is a separate organisation, and I know that very senior people at the top of the NHS in London and also in northwest London weren't aware of the nature of the announcement that was going to be made, and they weren't aware of the timing of it. But you also throw into the mix that even some of the hospitals involved didn't know it was going to happen, and the local MPs weren't informed. It's not a pretty picture.
It does sound quite unbelievable, actually. But we do know what's not going to happen. What's next?
Well, what we don't know is what is going to happen, because although the government have said, look, we're not going to scrap these two A&Es at Charing Cross and Ealing, what they haven't said is, here's some money to pay for the crumbling buildings across northwest London. It has the biggest backlog of maintenance anywhere in the country, something like £1 billion. So the buildings aren't fit for purpose in many cases, and they've admitted that. So there's no extra money on the table today. And what they've also not said is what we do want to happen. So it looks like there's going to be more delay, maybe another couple of years, more consultations, and they'll go back and rework the plans. But again, even if they go back and rework those plans, no commitment today from the government of any more money to pay for them.
Does this have wider implications for London?
Well, imagine yourself as a chief exec sitting in southwest London or out in northeast London, and you're looking at these plans and you're saying, not only have they been pulled without the NHS bosses here being told that they're being pulled, but this is about money. And so in southwest London, they want a new hospital down there, 300 million quid. Are we going to get that? Out in northeast London, they want to rebuild Whipps Cross. That's going to cost about £500 million. They'll be looking at this and saying, are the Department of Health taking decisions about London without London being told? And are the Department of Health now at a stage where they don't want to give London money because it's too expensive?
OK, Carl, thanks for bringing us your analysis and the update on that story. Carl Mercer there.
Mr Elkeles' plans to downgrade acute hospitals in West London have been halted. Mr Elkeles' plans to downgrade acute hospitals in South West London and Surrey will be halted. We will fight like our lives depend upon it, because they might. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video. Please share this video to let more people know about it.